My name's Hydo and welcome to the Pantheon, the show where we take a look at the 5 best cards for any given commander. And today we've got quite the white treat for you. We're going to be having a look at Crovax, Ascendant hero. Weighing in at a big mighty 6 mana. Is he worth it? Well, let's have a look at his abilities. Other white creatures get +1/+1. Pretty good. Sadly, it is for our opponents as well, but you know, you can't have anything. And honestly, who's playing white in Commander these days? Non-white creatures get -1/-1. Pretty damn good. Any sort of token strategies are just going to melt under this. And then finally, we've got pay 2 life, return Crovax, Ascendant hero, to its owner's hand. Okay, nice bit of protection there. I think it's really quite cool. And he's a 4/4. Nice and square. A big block of a man. Really quite cool. Here's my foil of him. Woohoo. Lovely. Absolutely lovely. Without further ado, let's get into the top 5 cards for Crovax. In at number 5, we've got a Quetra's Monument. Rather a boring pick, to be honest. It is just a mana rock, essentially. But considering he's 6 mana, it's fantastic. And it produces tokens. It's everything the deck sort of wants to be doing. So, a Quetra's Monument is a 3 mana legendary artifact. White creature spells you cast cost 1 less. Whenever you cast a creature spell, create a 1/1 white warrior creature token with vigilance. Absolutely fantastic. This works on 2 different angles and is great for the deck. Cards very similar to this. We've got Elspeth Sun's Champion, which is a 6 mana planeswalker that has the abilities to put 3 1/1 white creature tokens onto the battlefield and destroy all creatures with power 4 or greater. Interesting, Crovax is a 4/4 sadly, but you can pay 2 life to bounce him back to a hand and then just recast him for 6 mana every single time. Or with a Quetra's Monument, 5 mana. What a deal. Then we've got Increasing Devotion, a 5 mana sorcery where we can create 5 1/1 white human creature tokens. If the spell was cast from a graveyard, create 10 of those instead. Flashback for 9 mana. Then we've got Brimaz, King of Oreskos. 3 mana for a 3/4 with Vigilance. When it attacks or blocks, you get a 1/1 with Vigilance. Really quite cool. Tokens are a key theme in this, and considering our commander buffs them, absolutely fantastic. Brings on to number 4 on our list, which is Elesh Norn, Grand Cenobite, which is a 7 mana Vigilance 4/7. Other creatures you control get +2/+2. Creatures your opponents control, -2/2. Might look quite familiar, and you know, Elesh Norn is probably the better version of this card. You know, it's interesting. I think Crovax is actually better because there are some more synergies that we can have. Like, Elesh Norn is a generically better card, but as a commander, I much prefer Crovax. Along this similar line, we've got cards like Harmonious Archon, a 6 mana 4/5, I believe, Celestial Crusader, I was ever getting in the way. But non-Archon creatures have base power and toughness 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 human creature tokens. Excellent token producer, and it's a slight anthem. You know, all of our 1/1s are going to be 3/3s. With Crovax on the field, they're 4/4s. Really quite good. Then Celestial Crusader, who is 4 mana, who has flash and split second, so you can't cast a spell in response to him. Flying, other white creatures get +1/+1. Again, this does affect our opponents, not the best, but it's very on theme and quite cool. Honor the Pure is a 2 mana enchantment. White creatures you control get +1/+1. Very simple, very, very elegant. Which brings on to number 3. And we're looking at Thran Temporal Gateway, which is a 4 mana legendary artifact. You can pay 4, tap it. You may put a historic permanent card from your hand onto the battlefield. Now, this plays really well with Crovax's bounce ability. You can constantly bounce him for 2 life, and then you can put him back in with the Thran Temporal Gateway, essentially negating any sort of commander cost. And thanks to this, we can put things in at instant speed. Absolutely great. So Elesh Norn that we just looked at, you can put Elesh Norn in at instant speed. Woohoo, quite fun. Along a similar line to this, we've got Quicksilver Amulet, which is 4 mana. Pretty much exactly the same. 4 and tap it, you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. So this does work with any creature. It doesn't have to be legendary, but you lose out on the fact you can't put artifacts in. Still, Absolutely great. Giving all of our things flash and essentially uncounterable because we're not actually countering, just putting them in. It's brilliant and can lead to some nice loops where Crovax is just terrorizing the opponent. Next, we've got Lana Selfless Champion. When it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 soldier token for each non-token creature you control, and sacrifice Lana. Creatures you control with power less than Lana's power get indestructible until end of turn. So, brilliant little bits of synergy. We can flash her in, uncounterable, and then if someone's trying to board wipe, sacrifice her. We've produced a bunch of tokens, and we've saved them all as well. Absolutely great. And then Thalia's Lancer. So, the Temporal Gateway cares about legendaries, and Thalia's Lancer chooses up legendaries. So, if you've got any sort of silver bullet legendaries, you can pick them out. Maybe a Planeswalker, so Elspeth. Get her, put her into play at the end of turn, and then you can use her straight away. Great little dude. Brings us on to number 2. Now, technically not Commander legal, because obviously this is a blue-white card, but I hate that rule, and I see no reason why this shouldn't be allowed in mono-white. Like, the original intent of hybrid mana is that you can cast it with either or. It's something that both the colours can do by themselves, so you stick them together, and it's got a nice little payoff in limited where you can cast it for blue or white or whatever. But the Commander rules don't say that. They say that you can't play this. But if you have a cool sort of community, you could ask them and potentially put this into your deck. So what do you get? Godhead of Awe is a 5-mana 4/4 with flying. Other creatures are 1/1s. It's essentially the humility effect, which makes all creatures 1/1s. But more importantly for this, they keep their abilities. So if Crovax is on the field, all of our opponents, non-white creatures, they're 1/1s. But non-white creatures get -1/-1. So our opponent's creatures just won't exist. Which is wonderful. It's exactly what you want to see, isn't it? I love it. Moving on, we've got some cards that are very similar to this that you actually can play in the deck, despite what Urborg looks like. Overwhelming Splendor is a 8-mana enchantment or a curse. Enchant player, creatures enchanted player controls, lose all abilities, and have base power and toughness 1/1. Exactly the same sort of effect, except it costs 8. And it's only one opponent. Godhead of Awe is obviously better, but, some people would be unhappy if you were playing it. It also has some other text, but Urborg's got in the way. In essence, they can't activate abilities unless they're mana or loyalty counters. Then, we've got a little combination here. Cormus Bell is a 4-mana artifact. All swamps are 1/1 creatures that are still lands. So, if you know what Urborg does, makes all swamps makes everything a swamp. Just makes a big bog everywhere. You can see where this is going. We have Cormus Bell on the field. We have Urborg, which we can play because it doesn't actually have a black mana symbol on it. Another strange rule, for the commander, but it makes sense. If we make everything a swamp, our commander comes in, gives everything -1/-1, everything dies. Because lands are colourless, they're not white. Utterly miserable. Cormus Bell, if you draw it by yourself, it's quite good. If you're playing any black players, just blows up all the lands. Urborg, by itself, it's a land. The opportunity cost of running both of these is pretty low, so I'd be happy putting them in. Which brings us to our next card, and the final one for today. Near-Death Experience. A 5-mana enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have exactly 1 life, you win the game. Now, Crovax's ability, the way it's worded, you pay 2 life, which means that's the cost. The returning into your hand isn't part of the cost, so you can activate it over and over and over and over again. Until you get to 1 life. And then, if it's your upkeep, you win the game. Wonderful. But how are we going to get to 1 life? Because if you're at an even life total, say you're at 40, if you keep paying 2 life, you're just going to die. Well, I have some little technology for you now. Shefet Dunes is a land desert. Taps for colours, or you can pay 1 life and tap it to add a white. Some other techs, you know, you sacrifice the desert, all your creatures get +1/+1. City of Brass, whenever it's tapped, deals 1 damage to you. Nomad Stadium, tap it for a white, deals 1 damage to you. So, using these lands, you can cleverly manipulate your life total. Say you're stuck on 40, tap one of these to cast your commander, you're now on 39. Activate his ability 18 times? No, 19 times. Good maths. And then suddenly you're at 1 life. To go along with this, we have a couple more interesting cards. Threeben Doomsayer is a 3-mana 2/2. You can tap him to put a 1/1 white human creature token onto the battlefield, so works really well with our token theme. But then it has Fateful Hour. As long as you have 5 or less life, other creatures you control get +2/+2. It's an anthem, you know, if you bring yourself down to 5 life or less, suddenly your team's absolutely massive. Gather the Townsfolk, put 2 1/1 white human creature tokens into the battlefield. If you have 5 or less life, put 5 of those tokens instead. And then Break of Day, 2 mana instant, creatures can go get +1/+1 until end of turn. If you have 5 or less, those creatures also get indestructible, so you can save your board. Really, really cool. And this is quite a fun deck. It's not very powerful, but it's really fun to play. And that's the main thing. And it's something that white, like the alternate win conditions are something I really like in white. And they really help sort of cement the colour as something interesting. And that's that. If you've got to this point, thank you very much for watching. And I hope you subscribe and enjoy. I'm going to go and bounce myself back to my hand a couple of times, you know, give my friends +1/+1, stuff like that, you know, maybe make a couple more videos, who really knows. If you like to subscribe, please do. I'm rather lonely and need approval from the Magic the Gathering masses. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.